friend, Roderick Christofferson here again with another first listen review. And it took me a while to get around to babbling about this one because there was a whole lot here to take in. I'm talking about Rush, and I guess it's called Rush 50. They didn't put the R in front of it like they did for the R40. Of course, that was a live thing, but this is an all career encompassing box set. It comes in a couple different configurations. Fairly pricey one. This is not going to be probably for the casual listener of Rush. This is definitely going to be something that probably is going to be strictly just for Rush fans. Although I think anybody can enjoy it. I just can't see anybody who's not really into Rush going out and rushing to get this. But anyway, hey, bad jokes aside, this actually it's got some cool stuff on it. I guess the idea was to take something off of each album, studio albums and live albums that they released officially, and it's 50 songs, so I don't know if that was on purpose or just by accident. It's probably on purpose, but they included some rarities, which is kind of what really drew me to it, because I was not really interested in another greatest hits, but this is definitely not, I wouldn't call this a greatest hits. This is kind of just a chronological history of the band. They cover everything, like I mentioned earlier here, even stuff that was before the band actually released officially their first album. There's a single on here back when they had I believe it's pronounced John Rutsey. They had as the drummer, they had a few people coming and going. I think they originally, if I remember correctly, it was like 68. It was kind of when they first started forming. Even Geddy Lee was in and out of the band at one point. And I don't think he was even the original bassist. I always say I'm going to research this stuff ahead of time, but I just try to go from memory, like we're sitting down just chit-chatting with buddies and whatever. That's kind of the feel I'm going for most of this stuff. So maybe I should check into this stuff, but I believe it's it's John Rutsey is how you pronounce his name, but and he played on the first album before Neil took over immediately, within months after the release of the album. But there's some cool stuff on here that was released before that. There's their official first single, which is a cover of Buddy Holly's song "Not Fade Away," where I had actually never heard this before, and Geddy sounds weird. I'm not gonna lie, he sounds very different than anything I've ever heard him sound like before, so I thought it was really interesting hearing that. And then the B-side was one of their songs called "You Can't Fight It." They've been released before, but never on CD, so I guess this is the first time those have ever been released on CD. And also, right off the bat, we had "Working Man," which we're calling the Vault Edition, which has been released before as well, just not on CD. And then there's some live stuff from those early days. "Need Some Love" and "Before and After." First time on CD, but then we started getting into some cooler stuff here that I have never heard before, and supposedly has never been released anywhere. I don't know if there's bootlegs of this stuff out there or not. I've been listening to Rush. It was one of the first bands I actually really started getting into when I was really young. And Geddy Lee is one of the reasons I wanted to learn how to play bass. It's funny because 2112 was the first album I actually bought from them ever, and I kind of went backwards from there. And I think Crest of Steel was the next one I got after that. I know I got Grace Under Pressure sometime very early on too, and I didn't buy that one. They used to do this thing on the radio where they'd play 6 albums in a row, at midnight, on a Sunday night before going to school the next day and on Monday, and I'd stay awake all night long. I actually set a timer for what albums I thought I would think were cool. And I remember Rush being Grace Under Pressure was one of those, and I used to listen to that one over and over and over. That was kind of the one I probably listened to the most of all. But anyway, back to the stuff here. Garden Road and Bad Boy are the 2 songs on here. And Anthem, the live version of Anthem. This is all live, actually. Bad Boy and Garden Road, or it's almost a garden party, at the Agora Ballroom in Cleveland. Seems like there's a lot of stuff recorded there. And Bad Boy is a cover of somebody else, and I can't remember who it is right off the top of my head now. I actually read it here. That's one thing I'll say about this box set. The book in it is it's really big. it's like this is like a big box, and the book in it is very like good. It's very covers everything. The only little nitpicky thing I have about it is they put a lot of pictures in here, just like artwork, especially at the end. Like the book ends like probably 3/4 of the way through, and then it's a bunch of just pictures that have really, they're not of the band. Let's put it that way. It's just art. I don't know. For me, it doesn't do anything, but I thought it was pretty cool at the end of it. They give all the information on all the songs. So, excuse me, I thought that was pretty cool. And like I said, there's Anthem is on here, which was live at Electric Lady Studios. And then from this point on, mostly it's a song, off of each album. And I say chronologically, they do it chronologically as far as if there's a live album in between the studio albums, they'll do a song off of that. However, they don't necessarily do a song off the album from that they're supporting on that tour. So you'll be going along, even like up here, when they're doing like tours for the newer stuff like Roll the Bones and Vapor Trails and stuff like that. They'll do a song from way back early on in the career off the live, that's on the live album, which is chronologically correct to how it was recorded, but the song itself is not. So they'll throw, which kind of does throw it off a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, it does when you're listening to it and you're kind of growing with the band through this. It's kind of like a journey, and you're listening to how the band is growing, and then you get like 20 years past when the song was released and they're playing it. It kind of throws it off the flow a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. But it's still, it's Rush. Can't complain too much. And there is a lot of live. I'm not going to go through every single song on here. There's a lot of live stuff, which goes, and they include a drum solo in here, which I thought was a little odd too. But right after that, you get to hear the Trees, which they're calling the Vault Edition. It's got a different solo on it, a little different. It was unique to listen to. It does, but the rest of the song, there wasn't anything that had changed about it. But it's always cool to hear something different, unique. So that was kind of a thing. It was nice to hear, and then it goes, continues chronologically through all this stuff. And like there is a lot of live in here. They didn't realize how many live albums they actually had, and until I started listening to this. But a lot of live stuff on here. So I'm just kind of like looking through again here. They have One Little Victory in here, which is also remixed. Nice little song they have. One of the live versions they actually put on after that is the Cygnus X1 live version. So that one was, to me, was really jarring because you hear like a new further along in their career actually, and then it jumps backwards a little bit. And they actually include in here even the stuff off of the EPs that they did. I can't remember if that one came after The Seeker. I'm pretty sure it did. I really should look into this stuff ahead of time. I never do. They had The Seeker on their cover of the Who song, which was interesting hearing them play that song. It's different. It continues on like that. I'm trying to look see if there's anything. Oh yeah, and probably the crowning thing in this whole collection is that they end with the What You're Doing, Working Man, Garden Road live at the Forum, which is the last performance they ever did. So that's kind of a cool way to wrap things up. I thought it was pretty nice. But looking through, there's some songs in here. They don't necessarily go for the hits or the singles or whatever that they released when they're choosing what they're going to do. I mean, they are in there. You've got Closer to the Heart, Fly By Night is in here, Spirit Radio, of course, Tom Sawyer. They got, and then of course the live version of Limelight that they did correctly, there. But and then they threw, they do like some stuff after that. I'm trying to think here what it was. Oh yeah, they did like Distant Early Warning. They do the live version of that, after like stuff like Big Money and Time Stand Still. So that's what I'm trying to say. It kind of jumps back and forth song-wise, even though the version of it, the live version, actually was recorded after that. But they choose some other songs that, like Dreamline and, the main Monkey Business, which I don't really remember ever hearing that stuff. Maybe they were released as singles. I don't know, but I don't remember hearing that stuff on the radio. So it was kind of cool they chose not what they think would be the obvious stuff as well. So anyway, overall, it was a cool listen. It was kind of nice hearing how, like I was saying, how the band grows, and you can hear there's that change, especially in Geddy's vocal style. Mid '80s there, where he starts getting away from the super high singing and adding a lot more keyboards into the mix, as the main, instead of just being in the background and stuff, and being more up front in the songwriting and the whole style of songwriting, how it changed over time. Went from more of a hard rock to more, I don't even know how to describe that. Rush, they changed their styles, and they completely, they even brought back some of the heaviness towards the end of their career, even though the recording style wasn't quite the same. So it didn't have that, for me anyway, it didn't have that super hard rock sound, even though some of the songs were pretty rocking. But anyway, I don't know, I could babble on for quite a while about these guys, but I'm going to leave that to you. So comments in the comment section on what you thought about this. Anything I'm forgetting to mention, think I'm way off base on what I'm saying, whatever, feel free to mention it. It's just us talking about our opinions. There's no wrong opinions, just what we're thinking. And as always, I ask you to like, share, and subscribe to keep this music alive, because I would love to keep hearing some cool stuff. Maybe I can find some more stuff, strictly vault music maybe. That'd be cool to hear. But until next time, we will see you.